Okay. Let me put me. So hopefully you see me in like a big face. Yes. Can I have a thumbs up if that's the case? Yeah. And now I want to know, is anyone in the know if I put gallery on, am I still spotlighted for everyone else? Like, am I still big? Yes. Okay, great. Because I actually like seeing people's faces when I'm talking. That's fantastic. So it's just that now the recording is happening just with your permission means that I don't think your faces will be on the recording. That's my understanding. So, and I would really also appreciate if if you have questions or if you wanted to say something, put it in the chat rather than suddenly putting yourself off loudspeaker. We can have some Q&A at the end, but just for the sake of the recording and then getting into the energy bit or the plan for today. So if you haven't heard, I want you to have a pen and paper because we're actually going to do some work today. I'm not just going to talk at you. So yeah, the other part of this is that we are doing deep energy work, and some of the money stuff does touch on really big energetic emotional stuff. So if your body or you're sensitive or you're not in the right place wherever you are right now, don't force yourself to go deep into something you're not ready to go deep into. Okay, it's more like maybe you can take a note and reference it for yourself so that when you do have time and space, you can go into it then. If you feel like it's all a bit much that we're doing all this energy work, then you can always wait for the recording and pause, stop and pause. We've got about 8 energy tools, exercises we're going to get through in sequence. So, if that's too much for you to do it all in one go, and, you don't have the capacity, then don't worry. In the replay, you can hit, pause and record in at your own pace. So I just want to hand everyone back the responsibility of looking after your energy and yourself and, what your capacity is right now. If you can put your cameras on, that would be lovely. I like seeing your faces and who's here. And, it's important for me too, to be able to track like in the room, like how people are. When we do some of my courses and we do kinesiology, which is, deep, powerful energy work, in a group setting, we have some hand signals just to kind of show that something's happening because I can't always see your faces. So if you are having like a major moment and it's big stuff, then we use this hand signal just to say, like, whoa, stuff's moving, because we actually don't want to go too fast or push down or ignore or, oh, it's going to be okay, I'll cry later. Let stuff come up if it needs to, rather than push it away. So yeah, if it feels like I'm going too fast or it's all a bit much, just do that with your hand, and then we can kind of see that maybe we just take a breath together, and that's all. Sometimes stuff we have in us, still letting people in, just me warm. Yeah, stuff that we have in us that doesn't necessarily want to be there or is outdated or has been painful in the past, sometimes can shift in an instant, in a moment, or in the wells of grief. It can move, and that stuff could have stayed there 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, but that moment, giving it that little breath and that moment there, can actually shift stuff. So there's actually 2 pages here. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So if you've just arrived, you need a pen and paper, and hopefully you have some space to go into this energy work that we're going to do. And why am I doing this and like giving so generously of my gifts and the mastery that I've developed over a decade, is because I have been contemplating really deeply into what is the biggest impact that my work can have. And yes, I can do all sorts of healing work on work with people in their personal stories. And, I can, as in most healers know that I could work with someone with this problem or that problem or this problem. But so there's, an abundance of things I could be offering. And I do offer a lot of things. And for me, the money story and the wealth story is the one that I see having a biggest impact on individuals and in their families. Because if you can sort your money story and your visibility story and your self-employment story and your sharing your gift story and your expression being free in the world, that's where the biggest abundance seems to ripple from. You know, imagine being able to know that you're going to be okay in your old age money-wise, or that you've got structures and foundations in place that support you and your family. I mean, that's like a weight off. That's people sleeping at night rather than worrying all night that they don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I've been going into the money story so deeply. And that's why, I mean, it's cringy for me too, because I've been talking about auras for a decade. You know, like my first 8 years of my work was all to do with aura transformation. So to then be talking about money, it's like, whoa, you know, spiritual people shouldn't be talking about money. It's bad. You know, we'll get into all that. And so it's a bit edgy, and I'm okay with that, because the impact matters to me more. Like what happens for you and healing your money story matters a lot more to me than my reputation. So that's why I talk about this so much. So in a way, my abundance, my feeling of abundance, and my dharma or my mission is yours. Like your abundance is actually mine, my abundance. So it's a kind of like, it feels really good to see people thriving. And so my wish for you in this session and in life is to call quits on what hurts you. And that kind of goes for all my work. But, you know, calling quits on stories that aren't true, abuses that are still running your system, which, you know, maybe the abusers aren't there anymore, but the system's still running that abuse, whatever level. I want that, your freedom from that. I want to call quits on anything that causes you suffering. That's kind of where my baseline is here, which kind of means calling enough is enough on your money story that might be hurting you. Yeah, enough, quits. Anything that is causing lack, constriction, closing down, diminishing, you know, the opposite of you being in abundance and divinity, your divinity. So that to me means upgrading. So I want from this session is an upgrade of your interface with reality. So if your bubble, your aura is your interface technology with reality and creates your, you know, it's like your vehicle in the world is your energy, it's your emotions, it's your conversation with yourself, it's your frequency. What conversation are you having with the universe? And that's kind of where I want to elevate things and help you shift that frequency. So what does that mean in like real terms? Means feeling different after this session. It means feeling brighter, less weighed down, sparklier, bubbly, fizzy, more excited about stuff. It kind of like the fog lifting, you know, like your perspective on life like kind of clears. There's more hope there. It's like laying down the burdens, if possible, or starting to. So first thing I'd like you to write down on take a minute, because of my excitement, it's going to be hard for me to judge time. So I'm going to put a timer on. So give it a minute of really checking in with your body. Where are we? Stop. Yeah, so close your eyes for a moment. How are you right now? What conversations have you been having with yourself? And what is your body saying to you right now? What mood are you in? How does your energy feel? Breathe. And do a body scan, or just become aware of being here. Are you actually here? Are you able to land? Can you actually feel your body? Do you have legs? Are you on planet Earth or somewhere else? And take a note for yourself. What's going on, just so that you can refer back at the end. Maybe you can give to your mood a name. And now for another 30 seconds or so, what have you been ranting about, maybe in your head or to others? What's like your main woes at the moment? It doesn't have to be about money necessarily, but maybe what's like the general, what's not working for you at the moment? List that for yourself. Welcome to the new people. We're just writing down how you feel right now, how your body feels right now, current woes, things not working for you right now. This is just for you. Where is the tension in your life? What's frustrating you? Okay. So we're just going to leave that for now. We're going to do a load of exercises in a bit. I am going to talk a little bit to you now. So just first of all, I know there's a lot of people here I've never met before. I see a lot of familiar faces, but there's a few that I don't know. So just for the sake of introducing myself properly, I'm Sarah Jennings. My company is called Dare to Be. And the reason why I called it Dare to Be was because I felt like it wasn't okay to be oneself. It wasn't okay to be magical or weird or different. And it also felt like we knew a lot about what's not working in the world, like, you know, academically speaking. And then no one's actually living the proof of it. No one's living the change that we want to see. So Dare to Be was really about daring to, it's actually from Latin. I'm just muting someone. For some reason, there we go. Yeah, it's from Latin, and it means sapere aude, means dare to, you know, use your wisdom, dare to use the knowledge you have, and dare to be you, really. And I started off, so basically I was in a real mess myself, toxic relationships, terrible money story, just felt like I'd failed my life, was going to go down, I was going downhill. Things were not working as they should. I was a single mum as well. And it got to the point, it got so bad, like rock bottom bad, that I had to, you know, I said enough is enough. I need to change something. I realized that I was the common denominator in a lot of the stuff not working out for me. You know, the things that keep not working, I was like, I'm always in those situations, and maybe there's something I can do to shift that. So I started working on myself drastically, like deeply, kind of like over the top. I made myself a hermit. I cut away all that was not healthy for me, kind of everything, actually. I started from ground zero again. But I basically did a lot of energy work on, or emotional clearing work on myself repeatedly, like kind of boot camp for myself. And it was pretty horrific. I had a few terrible wake-up calls before that happened. So don't wait till that happens. If you know you're supposed to do something about your current state, then maybe do it before the warning, what did I just call it? The kick up the bum comes for you. So yeah, I did a lot of work on my own, and then I heard about something called aura transformation. So I'd started decluttering my interface with reality so that it reflected the level of being that I wanted to be. What kind of person do I want to be? And am I living that in the world? Am I behaving in the way that I would like my life to be? And a lot of the stuff was a no. I was also carrying so much emotional stuff that wasn't, it was dragging me backwards. I was feeling shame, guilt, failure all the time. So it was like stuff, I have to change this from within. So that's what I started doing. Then I heard about something called aura transformation, and that is like a mega decluttering of your energy field. And it's a kind of upgrade of your aura structure. And it's really embodying your higher self, your spirit energy in your body. So it's like makes you far more grounded, far more here, with much better boundaries, and really helps you clear away old karma, ancestral stuff, emotional stuff. It's like some people have likened it to, you know, like an ayahuasca trip, but kind of safer and over a longer period of time. And you know, it reveals a lot to you. So I had that done myself, and it was a big like timeline shift, like a big shift in my being. And this was like maybe 9 years ago, I think. And then I trained in it quite quickly because I was like, this is incredible, amazing. And then I started delivering it all over the world, and as in, you know, doing treatments on people. And I was in South Africa, so that's why someone from South Africa is probably here, because I have a friend that maybe recommended it that I know in South Africa. Who's the South African person? Do they want to wave at me? Hello. Do you know Dawn Penny? Is that why you're here by any chance? No. Okay. So yeah, I went to South Africa about 5 or 6 times and was doing aura transformations out there. And basically I was able to have a very healthy, busy practice, healing practice, successful practice in the world, pretty much off the bat, doing these aura transformations. I've done hundreds of them. And then I started, I was asked to be an instructor, and not many people are. There's only 2 of us at the moment. The founder of Aura Transformation died in 2019. So I went through intense initiations of becoming a teacher. It wasn't just like, oh, you know, you just do the training and then you're done. It's like, no, you're going to have to expand your capacity to hold more energy, hold bigger containers, hold, you know, groups of people's energy as they shift, you know. And that is a big thing I want to share today. This is called Optimize Your Wealth Frequency, because if you want to hold more money, more wealth, then if you're in the healing professions, you need to be able to hold more energy, more clients, more of their process. And when people aren't quite ready to hold bigger containers, they sort of burn up. Like, it's a physical sensation, or it could be, we're talking maybe even metaphorically as in burnout, or, you know, it's like too much for the system. So your system needs to be able to shred, a bit like when you go to the gym and the muscle shreds and builds, your energy needs to be able to do that, to hold more. So we're going to get into this a bit more in a minute. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. And so anyway, I did the training to become a aura mediator instructor. Took, I don't know, about 4 years, and lots of initiations, lots of, you know, you have to be in, I had to be present to 32 people becoming aura mediators, and that's quite a lot because they're very small groups. And I was doing it internationally as well, so I was learning in different countries. Then I was also training simultaneously as a kinesiologist, and that's where all of the courses I've developed have a kinesiology element, and I find it incredible. It really means that it was a 3-year training, which included trauma training. The woman that developed it, creative kinesiology, she was a psychotherapist, and so a lot of the stuff that we learned came from that, like deep grounding in that way of working. So it really, like, there's all these things that have developed the way I can hold energy and how I work with people. Kind of fast forward to pandemic time, it's like lots of people in the healing world, certainly if they had a hands-on, aura transformation teaching is all hands-on, had to then pivot and started creating online courses. So I stopped trading time for money. I started creating outcomes and journeys and experiences for people in containers. So it's, again, it's like a graduation where you go through initiations. Maybe you learn how to be really good at doing one-to-ones, and you become very proficient in your healing work with people, and you know, you've built that experience of holding lots of different kinds of people's energy. And then you start kind of evolving, or this was the natural progression for me, and this is what we do on Visibility Gateway, is start evolving your one-to-one work into courses that you might want to deliver. And all of that only happens in the right time for you. We can't force your initiations into being able to hold more energy for people, but you can definitely ask the universe to provide you the experiences you need. So sometimes I know that for me, I'd wanted to organize teach courses of my own for years, and all the ideas were rattling around for years, and it was very frustrating. And you're like, when's this going to happen? And like, oh, what is my niche? And like, what's my outcomes? And you're just like, why is this not coming out? And why is this not working? And then you realize that your life brings you experiences that stretch you to be able to hold more energy. So like I was in Australia, and suddenly I had 27 people, and I was like emotional support at a festival. And instead of, I couldn't do all these one-to-ones, it was ridiculous. So I just said, right, I'm going to do a kinesiology session for 27 people, which I had not done before. And everyone agreed that they would be my guinea pigs in that. So I had 27 hippies in a emotionally messed up hippies, and then trying to organize a festival from scratch. And we did a kinesiology session that lasted about an hour and a half, and I burnt up in that session. I could feel the fire of holding all that messy energy, but it was an initiation. It was an experience that meant that I expanded my capacity to hold that. So what I'm saying to everyone is that sometimes your journey to becoming the practitioner you want to be, or the leader that you want to be, including being visible and all that, it kind of has to come with the stretching and with the initiations, the fires that you have to walk through and over, to not only prove to yourself, but kind of to the world that you are a safe place for people to arrive to. You know, maybe if people aren't coming, it could be so many things. Okay, this is part, I'll explain why we're doing what we're doing, but there's so many layers to why your business isn't working for you, or the money isn't flowing. And some of them are maybe the initiations haven't come, or people can't feel you, or people are scrolling past when you write, or like you're not visible or grounded or a presence for people. And it's like, this is what we're investigating. This is the kind of work that we want to do here, is figuring out these things. And that's why kinesiology is so powerful, because we're able to muscle test even in a group energy setting. I'll talk about this, my offerings, right at the end, so you can opt out if you don't want to hear it. But kinesiology means we can get to the bullseye exactly of like why you can't, what is this pattern that we're working with right now? Is it a money issue? Is it a visibility issue, a leadership issue, an ancestral one, a nervous system thing? You know, we just track. So we're like Sherlock Holmes when it comes to kinesiology, which has meant over the years of doing thousands of hours of kinesiology and group work, certainly with practitioners, I've now got like a library of information about why things happen to practitioners and healers. So it's a pretty cool way of working. So pandemic meant that I had space suddenly, like a landing strip of all these courses that had been wanting to come out, all started coming out. And that's why it looked maybe quite crazy from the outside. But for me, they were in me and wanting to be written for years. So they all kind of plopped out one after the other. And it was a new way of working for me. And so now, you know, we're going to have the 7th Visibility Gateway, the 5th Love Again Heart Retrieval, the 5th Money Gateway, and there's going to be the 2nd Transmute Distortion. So there's been many courses over the last 2 years, I guess. Well, it would be a year and a bit, 18 months. So it's been an incredible journey and a big learning curve for me, and I'm just absolutely loving it. It felt like a great graduation from one-to-ones to graduating into group work. It was like I've done my time with so I've slowly phased out my one-to-ones as kind of very small little windows here and there that I offer one-to-one work, because I kind of feel like I graduated into these group containers. It keeps me on my toes. I like the stretch. It's like, yeah, it's like more exciting for me at this stage. Yeah, so there's been a, yeah, let's see, what else can I say about my little journey here? So over that 10-year period, it's not always been easy in terms of money. Sometimes it's not there. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, I have to like do something quick. You know, there's like a it's like a survival energy, you know, boom and bust or feast and famine of like, oh, I just did a course, suddenly I've got more money than ever, and then suddenly there's none, and like, I have to do something. So it's like there's been that level of like, there isn't deep roots and foundations in my money story, you know, like it can't support me. Like if I stop now, I'd be doomed. There's like nothing holding me right now, but I have been setting up over the last 2 years. Well, let me backtrack slightly. I decided about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I just went, no, it was a year and a half ago. I just went, I've had enough of this feast and famine, boom and bust. Like I can't be sick. My daughter, I mean, I have nothing I can give my daughter if anything happened to me. I don't have a clue about pensions. I just don't even know what I'm going to do. You know, like I don't have X amount of money in the bank for a few months rent or anything, you know, it's like that. I've had enough of that. And I was like, well, why is it that healers or, you know, practitioners, we don't even ever think about that? You know, like that is weird. We have like blinkers on. We can't even think straight about money or finances or, you know, like that kind of planning. And then I realized it's not only practitioners, there's lots of people that have the blinkers on, as I call it. So I did a Money Gateway Masterclass. I don't know when I did it, but it's available. And I watched it again earlier, and I just decided I didn't want to repeat myself too much from that. So basically that's part one. This is kind of part two. But I went deeply into that in there. I went more deeply into the healers and spirituality and money stories. I want this one to be a bit more practical. So you can go back into that. And I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, you know, all the kind of, I don't know if you should call it rubbish, but the spirituality field, or, you know, alternative health field and money, like money's evil, you know, you should give your healing away for free and all that. I kind of work on that in that masterclass. But yeah, so there came a point where I went, right, enough is enough for me and something needs to change. And I don't know if my friend, rubbish, yes, it is a rubbish idea. My friend Holly Rhiannon, who runs the Awaken at Avalon, and I were talking, and she was just like, yeah, she explained to me this thing where, and then the minute she voiced it, I could see it energetically, is that we can walk apart, we can walk on a path of struggle. This is hard, you know, making money is hard, filling my courses is hard, marketing is hard, technology is hard, blah, 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 hard, suffer. Or there's another path that is like one where there is way more ease and your visibility and your leadership show and shine. People see it, people want to work with you. There's a free, like your resonance is kind of matched by the universe. It's not like a mismatch. And that is like we want to step from that timeline into that timeline, that dimension into that dimension. And that's what I did in that moment where I went, enough is enough. I always imagine I have like a staff and I'm like, and it ripples time, space continuum around me and my own consciousness. And I was driving at the time. Don't recommend that. Don't do that whilst driving. But I was very close to home. But yeah, I did have like an energetic kaboom moment of just like, that's it. And it really does shift your frequency. Your skin feels different. You feel taller. And that's what I want from today, is for us to shift into this place where it's more easier to bring in what you need. And so this turbocharging for me meant suddenly opportunities came open about understanding the financial world more. And so I started building multiple streams of income, which I'm not really talking about today, but that's what I've done. So it's not all off the back of my healing work. And so that means soon I'm going to be able to offer my healing work in a way that comes from creation rather than survival. So that's what I also want for others too. So building these foundations, thinking like wealthy people, taking the blinkers off from I don't understand stuff and starting to learn. I started learning about how financial systems work. It made absolutely no sense, but YouTube just playing, watching things several times, just keep listening, keep opening your ears to this new language, you really start shifting. So even learning about all this crypto world and decentralized banking world has created an energetic shift in my body, creating multiple streams of income, like including property and stuff like that, has also created massive grounding, energetically talking. I'm not even speaking about the real world benefits. I'm talking and pain in the bum as well of doing that. But there's actually roots in my energy now, like structures are building. I feel like a grown up. I feel like I'm being sensible and responsible about stuff rather than fly off, like, oh, I'll be fine. I trust the universe and like, la, la, la. It's like, okay, let's get real, So that's kind of my journey with it all. That's where I've got to. And just like lastly, I'm also, I call myself an advocate for raising the bar in the healing arts. Like I think that and that goes two ways. If you're seeking healing and massage and bodywork and transformation and I would invite that if that person providing you those services cannot eat and is scared to charge appropriately, like they've not eat, that's maybe going too far, but like are in debt and, struggling to pay their mortgage or, whatever it might be, then maybe they're not charging enough. And maybe a kind word to them, like, I love what you do, but you're not charging enough. I've said that so many times to people and my friends. So it's a two-way conversation, you valuing what you do, really understanding the value and the gifts that you've been given. If you've got a gift that is incredible, that helps people, whether it's out of poverty or out of pain or out of survival, and you're not honoring that gift, like you're giving it away for peanuts or for free or not valuing it, then you're not valuing your own gifts. And I think that's a kind of crime in itself, and it's a shame. So yeah, advocate for the healing arts, as in, raising the bar, making sure that we're looked after and able to survive in this wild, wild west that we're in. Yeah, so I say this in the other masterclass, but there is an interesting piece about the healing arts where I think it was in the Money Gateway kinesiology session, it came up that there was this angry shaman that came up, and maybe some of you have heard me talk about it. And the angry shaman was literally kind of pissed off. He was like, why should I ask for money for the healing work? I should be being looked after. Like, what is this? This is mental. It was like it was actually a very traumatized shaman part of us that was, used to be at the center of the village, center of the, community, and looked after from birth upwards because they were recognized as magical people, initiated as magical healer people, and then provided for by the community. And there was no such thing as like, oh, I'll give you 3 loaves of bread for fixing my leg. It wasn't like that, it was just you're part of the community and revered for that. And the healing arts have lost that footing in the everyday world. We've lost that sense of respect and being looked after. So we had to kind of show this angry shaman how remuneration and looking after and value happens now is different, but that being paid by your clients in the current world that we're in is actually being looked after. It's just a different way of being looked after. It's a different way of receiving, respect and honor for those gifts. So we kind of had to bring these traumatized parts of us up to speed. And that's what we're going to try and do a bit of that today as well. Yes. Okay. Right then. Like a little bit more about what is wealth frequency. What do I mean by that? And I use it as I'm going to drink something first. I use it as a measuring tool, actually, in kinesiology sessions. We do it during the Money Gateway several times and in Visibility Gateway. And it's a measure of how much can your system hold, and we actually measure it in money. So I could actually do that now. I mean, I would normally set up muscle testing, get us all into a place, but just off the cuff as a bit of play, I'm going to check what the money frequency is for the group right now. So clear yes, clear no, clear yes, clear no. And is it appropriate to ask for this group, the wealth frequency per month in pounds is more than 500, 400, 300, 200. It's 0. basically, as a collective, as soon as it means you probably, it also means that you probably pay for your bills and stuff, but there's never any left over. Like your bank account will attempt to go back to zero, or if you wanted to do something, it's like there's just not enough. It's like we're like a collective sieve to money and keeping money in our pockets. It's like, so our wealth frequency is like not good. Our container for holding wealth is pretty low. So but when I'm looking at this, and I know I measure it with money, but it's just a way of looking at it. To me, the wealth frequency, this container, is measuring not just money, but capacity to hold energy, power, leadership, clients, your ability to hold clients. So sometimes the wealth frequency is low, not because of a money story, but because you're afraid of having clients, because it's like you're beginning, you're starting out, or you're afraid of being visible in your leadership as a practitioner or whatever it is you do. So it could be also fear of responsibility or fear of messing up or something like that can diminish your wealth frequency. So it kind of comes in at all angles. It's, you know, that's why kinesiology is great, because we can be detectives and figure out what is what for you particularly, or for the group that we're in. But yeah, the wealth frequency is like, what does it look like? It's that thing where I said, where we stretch, like we're shredding our ability to hold more of our own power, our own magical gifts and skills. Like we're opening up to remembering who we really are and what it means to be worthy and to be divine beings. And it's expanding our capacity to trust ourselves, to be able to hold people, like to know that we've mastered that ability, and then being able to go like, yeah, I can hold this many people, and then graduating each time so that your wealth capacity gets bigger and bigger. But it also means that if you have more clients, or you know, you've got more mastery, more clients, or more visibility, or more leadership, you have more money. It kind of comes together. You know, if you want more money, we can't just increase your wealth capacity, your money capacity, but not your ability to hold people. You know, it all comes kind of part and parcel. Does that make sense to everyone so far, what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. So what damages your wealth frequency? I go into it a lot more in the Money Gateway Masterclass. And well, the most obvious ones in the healing professions is the history of persecution, witch trials, the witch wound. You know, that's like a big damage to our wealth frequency. Like if I step out and be visible, or if I tell people what I do, I might get burnt, or it's not safe to speak. It's not safe for me to step out and be witchy, or whatever you want to call it, wizardy and witchy. So we've gone a long way, and it was really crazy watching this pandemic, and then what ensued with the whole conspiracy theory and anti-vaxxing and all that. It was weird, but that I'd felt that over the last decade it'd become easier and easier to make a living from the healing arts, you know, being able to thrive in it and to be visible and to be weird. I was going to network meetings, you know, with businessmen and talking about aura transformation, and you know, it was like we were raising the bar, and it was getting more and more normalized, and then suddenly it got more and more freaky to be stepping out and talking about alternative health, talking about immune systems, talking about all that kind of thing. Was like, whoa. So it was a bit sad to watch the mob was still alive and kicking, and that the witch wound is maybe way older than the witch wound, and that fear of persecution, or the fear of being on the outside of the community is an age-old problem, I think. So yeah, that was an interesting one, but that can hurt your wealth frequency if you're afraid of stepping into that. You know, it needs courage to do that, certainly in the environment we're in. Things that can damage the wealth frequency is, I call them like iron lids. Things are like way down cultural beliefs, or the language. So maybe it's taken, you know, the people, let's say the narrative and the history of the witch burning times, is still in our language. It's in our bones. The trauma's in our bones, and it's in our language and day-to-day language, and in Disney films, the ogre witch, you know, in the corner. It's all kind of part of our culture and our narrative. And those stories of lack or of evil or whatever is still here, and it's still part of us. So that can have a real impact on us. Our institutions can have a terrible impact on our wealth frequency. I have a feeling that our institutions aren't really geared for us to be in our full greatness, in our full expression, in our full creativity. I'm sure lots of teachers want that for us, but they're, you know, the modern institutions of education are basically built for creating a workforce, not necessarily, you know, fully, what would you call them? Exalted, powerful leaders and visionaries. We kind of have to break through a lot of cultural conditioning to get to that point in ourselves, to remember in ourselves how powerful we are. Yeah. Another one I mentioned a lot in the Money Gateway Masterclasses, these blinkers that I feel that people in the healing professions have, and I mentioned about that in myself. And it's almost like the head, you know, the images I keep using for Money Gateway and money stuff is the head in the clouds. You know, we've got our head in the clouds and we're like, la la la, you know, crystals and unicorns, and, you know, not going to really think about money and how to sort our taxes and finances out. So how can we take the blinkers off? How can we get our head out of the clouds and sort of start enjoying that? And I think a lot of it is actually down to there's entities, thought forms. There's so much that keeps people from being powerful, being healed, and being whole. And that's the kind of stuff we do in my sessions as we start removing, shifting. I do a course called Transmute Distortion, which is just full of all the techniques I use to work with that sort of those sort of energies, thought forms, entities, old imprints, stuff that doesn't serve us, and certainly that affect healers and people in positions of leadership. There's also a lot of distraction, like, oh, look over here, something shiny and something dangerous, rather than, you know, look after yourselves and start growing your businesses or your self-employment or your healing work. There's a lot of distraction and a lot of smoke and mirrors to keep you occupied elsewhere. And the age-old language, I'm not good enough thing, you know, that's in our advertising school, you know, pitting, you know, your bet, you know, who's the top of the class, you know, there's something not good enough all the time, constantly. It's age old. It's one of the deepest, biggest programs that causes so much issue. So your wealth frequency is going to be low if you don't feel good enough somewhere. This first. Okay, hang on. Right, so what would increase your wealth frequency? That was all the kind of stuff that can damage your wealth frequency. What would increase your wealth frequency is all of my work comes to the premise that we have a true, unique blueprint, sense of self, flame, eternal flame that is you, vortex of consciousness that is you. You are like a fingerprint in the universe energetically. Each of you, every single person has something to give and belongs here. And all of my work kind of leads to how do we build this very strong sense of self. So the opposite of a strong sense of self is lots of core wound healing, lots of feeling rejection, abandonment, not belonging, not lovable. All this stuff is the opposite of feeling like strong and centered and grounded and powerful. And basically to protect your wealth frequency, you need to be ruthless about what is not supportive, what is not kind, and what is not useful. So if your thoughts are shitty, then likely they're not yours anyway. And it's time to start weeding them out moment to moment. Oh, there I go again. Whoop, there I go again. And that is, you know, we're going to get into that a little bit more in a moment. It's also ruthless protection of your life force. What drains your life force and what builds it up? How can you start protecting it in all ways possible? Having your pillar of strength that is like the protection of your flame that is you, your life force. When you are able to protect it and be ruthless about protecting it, that means you've kind of decluttered what is, the iron lids that are keeping you down, the feelings that you're not good enough, the cultural conditioning, blah, blah, blah. You're kind of lifting that away. You're decluttering what is maybe, that you've carried from your past that weighs you down, makes you feel bad about yourself. You've started working and alchemizing with that. You're able to pour the love into all. That's something I say all the time, should be my catchphrase, pour the love into all the places where you didn't feel like your needs were met, where you didn't feel like you were loved the way you should be, where you have felt rejected and abandoned, and maybe you were a child when that happened, and it's not your fault that it happened, but it's your responsibility now to start pouring the love in where you didn't get it then. So when you start having this strong, powerful sense of self, your wealth frequency is going to be much higher. Your ability to hold more energy a lot higher, your ability to believe in yourself and to overcome all the ups and downs of initiations, of stepping into your leadership, of becoming a great practitioner. You're building that strength and certainty in yourself. And then you carry yourself that way. And then when you talk about what you do, people go, ooh, I feel that. That person can hold me. So when you have got your wealth frequency high, then your radiance is high. People are like, oh, very sparkly, shiny person, because your energy is not leaking out of a sieve. It is literally kind of self-generating, stays within. You're not wasting your energy. You're not allowing your energy to be lost, taken, stolen. You're refining how your energy circulates in your system, supportive energy circulating in your system rather than daggers, from your past or from things people said to you when you were a kid or something. You're pulling the daggers out and then you're letting your energy be supportive of a self-generating system. It means that when your wealth frequency is high, you can step into your mission, the mission and the gifts can drop in because there's somewhere for them to land. And yeah, your life is so much simpler. Being your true self is so simple. It's not a back chat with yourself like, are you good enough to be your true self? No, you're just yourself, and you're not really thinking. Like, my thinking isn't really about the past or what I should have said or what happened then. Like, I kind of cleared all that quite aggressively, like went for it. And then now my brain is usually focused on what can I create next, or oh, what am I doing right now? It's not going over. But sometimes, like certainly in the last few months, there has been negative thoughts that are horrible. And I'm like, instead of going, oh, my thoughts, like, oh, I feel terrible, I'm like, what is that? And I'm weeding, gardening and weeding, like, no, F off with that. That's not mine. No, thank you. And I know it's circulating rife. It's like a virus at the moment. It's just in the air. People are having horrible negative thoughts. So make sure, if that's going on, that you realize, don't identify with it. That is not your true spirit. Your true self is not nasty or mean or unkind or unsupportive. Your true self, your spirit, your energy and spirit is far more than you could imagine. And I think when we expand our wealth frequency, is basically you're saying, I am love, I am a divine, powerful being, I am prosperous. And when I am that, I can feel the fruit, I can live, and I can actually feel the fruits of being alive. So wealth isn't about, I've got loads of money. Wealth is like, I can feel the magic and beauty of being on earth in my body. But if you've never been able to feel that and it was battered out of you from a young age, then we have to teach the body to feel love and divinity in your spirit and feeling okay and good in the world. How do we do that? It's a long-term game of weeding, but allowing that energy into the body. And we're going to do a bit of that in a minute. So I think I've said a lot there. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much there. So yeah, when your container is strong, then people feel it. And then that's where magic happens when you're a practitioner and you're bringing people into your field, because it's not that you are healing people. It's that you have healed more of yourself, and then other people have permission to do the same for themselves. Or you have tools that you can share with them that then help them get there. And it has to come from them. So it's more like a resonance match. If your frequency is here, people can get to here too. And then hopefully they graduate and go find someone better than you, even to go and do the next bit. So we're constantly, and wealth frequency is like never fixed. It's not like, okay, we got higher and that's it, now you're done. It is an organic, living, breathing part of being alive. Yeah. So your wealth frequency, you meet someone that triggers you, your wealth frequency might drop down. Your wealth frequency might go up because you've done something like this, for example. So it's like up and down. So it's more about how can you learn to maintain like a, come back to a higher frequency, not just always live high. That's not really right. You're not just going to never feel suffering and pain again. It's more like, how can you build the resilience and that inner strength to bounce back up to the top again and again. And it gets easier when you do. Thank you. Right. So what I would like to do, so the funny thing is, when you talk about money in the healing professions, it's like, oh, I'm scared of charging too much, or people don't have a lot, and like, oh no, and then you're not paying your own bills, and it's like, oh God. And then, but if you imagine giving a bunch of, if you had a like round table, like right now, we're all sat around a table, and I went, okay, I'm going to give you there's $1 million here on the table. What are you going to do with this money? So that's what I'd like you to do right now, is think of the dream. If you had that money and you could pitch for it, what would you do with like a massive amount of money? It could be like, if $1 million doesn't sound like a lot, then 10 million or $1 billion or whatever. If you had all the money in the world, what would it mean to you? So that's like the personal level. And then what would you do? I imagine you probably want to contribute, because every healer I talk to wants to run a retreat, open a healing center, build a school for superhero kids or something. So what would you do with the money? Really see it. What would it do for your family? What would they do if you could help them? What would it mean for your community or for people you want to support? What would it do for the consciousness of planet Earth? Is it part of your mission to contribute to the creation of the world we want to live in? Some people call it the new Earth. So I'd like everyone to reflect now. Is money the root of all evil when you look at that plan that you just set out? I would say probably not. You don't have to answer, but I'm just kind of poking fun. That money in the right hands, or money in the right hands could create a huge impact. But for some reason, the people that would do good in the world seem to just push money away, or are afraid of it, or don't know what to do, how to get it. And it's not your fault. Like I said, our institutions have not taught us how to leave school and know how to do money stuff. I did a live the other day about that. The blinkers were put there. Our heads were shoved into that cloud, not necessarily your ignorance or something. So if we look at the consciousness of, if money is a giant thought form that we created money, like, woo, we have an idea called money. So as humans made this man-made creation money, which is an exchange of value. But this thought form that we all feed into, most of us will think about money in one way or another, whether you used it today or it's paying for where you live in the background. Money is moving in the background of your life, or you're worried about money, or you're thinking about how to make more money, or whatever. Where are you plugging in to the collective cloud of consciousness? Are you plugging into money is misery, or not having money is awful, I don't know what I'm going to do next week, or how we're going to go do that, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills? Like, there's a fear, and like I can feel it now. It's like, well, it's like hard work to plug in that end of things. Or you could see money as like, wow, I could create so much abundance for so many people. Like, money is actually really inspiring or fulfilling, or has led me to be able to plant 1,000,000 trees, or I managed to fund a school in India, or I bought, you could be a philanthropist and thinking about money creation for the good of the earth. So it's like we have a level of choice about where we're plugging into the thought form of money. So that's bringing me to the next piece for you to look at. So you're going to walk through your day in your head, like visualize your day, a typical day, not a magical dream day, which is, where you're rich and famous, but like a normal everyday day in the life of. Yeah, no worries. Catch that. I'll send the replay out later, hopefully. So your conversation with money, what is it like? What's your general chat with money that you have going off? Like, imagine yourself in the shops, or you've seen something you like, or your shopping list online somewhere, or how you think about bills, or your future and money. What's your conversation with money? List like a bunch of maybe statements that you have. What, level of choice? Is there enough? I'll give you a few minutes to get through that. And maybe think about when you've had lots, what were you thinking about money then? Were you still worried about money? Can you feel when you buy something and you really want it? What happens then afterwards? Can you feel the havingness of having it? When people start talking to you about finance and banking and decentralized blah blah blah, what happens? When people say, have you done your taxes yet? What happens? Let's say you had like 20 new clients. Would you be okay with the money thing? Conversations with money. When you start running out of money, what do you do? What's your default? Are you like panic creating and chasing clients, or scraping by, or asking for favors, or what happens then? What do you think about people that have lots of money? Now, feel into your body after writing all that down and tapping into your own money stories. Just feel where is it in the body? Maybe there's one place shouting louder than anywhere else. Like I can suddenly feel like my left part of my head hurts. I don't know if that belongs to someone in the room. So find a body part and breathe into it and see if any memories or stories or information come up. This is a part, the body doesn't lie. The memories of our entire human history and earth history is in our bodies. So all the stories of our own life and our ancestors' lives are in our bodies. So this is a way of moving it without needing to get into too much story, but find the body part that's making most noise. You can put your hand on it and breathe into it. Breathe into your hands. And just allow whatever happens. You maybe see things or you don't. Or maybe the pain or the sensation moves, so then you can move your hands to where it moved to. Really breathe into that body part. It doesn't want to stay stuck in that story. Your body would love to have more space and air there. Let it shift and change. Maybe it goes from spiky and hot to moving like tar or something. So follow it around. And noticing like, oh wow, my eyes have gone tired and it's moved to the back of my head. So I'm going to breathe into there. See if it looks like something or has a feeling to it or a memory to it. So now it's moved to above my eyeball. So I'm just going to keep breathing into this place. Things tend to move up the body. So just noticing if that original feeling is still there when you, whatever you were sensing before, is it still there? Has it moved? Has it shifted? Did you get a memory like, oh wow, that shifted? Or maybe something happened for you But that is an amazing way. Just doing that simple practice. If you feel some tension in your body, breathe into it, and it might tell you something about what's happening, or it might just move. Tension in the body, story in the body, like story and trauma stuck in the body. It's almost like we wear it like a badge of honor, like, oh yeah, got a dagger there, it's just going to stay there. Yeah, keeps feeling that dagger. Yep, constriction there. And we walk around and we tell stories about it. But if you breathe into it and maybe even energetically remove the dagger and go through a process of pouring love in there or breathing into it, it might suddenly change into like a bed of ash, and then a skull appeared, and then flowers came out of the eyeballs, and then there was a garden. Like the body wants there's a story to happen. It doesn't want to stay stuck like with a dagger in it. Allow your body to change story, to shift stories. Okay, next we want to go in again. So close your eyes. And just dropping into your body. Kind of go to a neutral, grounded, blank space somewhere in the center of your being. And I'd like you to see, can you see if money was a person, what would it look like? Can you see a person called money? And what does this person look like? What are they wearing? What are they doing? What mood are they in? Are they friendly? Are they happy? What kind of character is money? And if you can see money, ask it, what do you need to find your more mature, beautiful, abundant, whole aspect of yourself? If that's what money looks like to you, what does your money person or money story need? And ask it or visualize it having what it needs, and see if you can see it grow from, maybe it wasn't in its best, wasn't looking its best. Maybe you can watch it transform into something beautiful and amazing, like the goddess Lakshmi, or, of abundance and wealth, or like the power of money in the right hands. What does that look like? See if you can energetically shift that story and feel it in your cells and your energy, this shift happening. And maybe if you're ready, you could come and write a few words of what your money story looked like, just so people can get an idea of what else other people had. It went from what to what. And maybe your money person vision needs love. You to love it as well. Maybe your money person had like the thought form of the misery of money stuck to its head, for example. Mine looked like a pimp in a sharp suit with a pencil mustache and greased back hair. Very pleasant. And then evolved to a golden goddess. Nice. Good work. I mean, I could go into archetypes and we could go into so much around this, but let's just keep it as a simple way of shifting your relationship or attitude to money and wealth. Ah, someone else had the pimp too. Cool. I wonder what that means. Pimp. Doesn't a pimp like use resources and people, I suppose? Mine looked like the sun, then a hand came out of it and pulled me in. Ooh, interesting. I would suggest trying to make it into a human shape of some kind so that it's less abstract, so that money as a being that you interact with is more useful and actually able to converse with, whereas the sun, it just burns you up like, and then, you know, like, you're nothing. He looked really dodgy and untrustworthy. So that's interesting because a lot of people get like a man in a suit, like shop suit, you know, like businessman in London. And did anyone else get that one? Like some sort of sharp suit person. Yeah. And that one I think is like, oh, money's not for me, it's for people in London kind of thing. Rather, you know, it's like this distance from who I am to what that is. Someone else had mind like a tramp in need of a hot meal, shower and needed love, and then become Lara Croft. Woohoo! Wealthy philanthropist doing good. Nice. Well, Lara Croft is also like not human. She's like a cartoon simulation. So, but I like the idea of the wealthy philanthropist doing good. Mine was an annoying guy in some snappy suit. Kind of. So it's like male, annoying, distant, not for me kind of thing. Male, heavy, large, abusive figure, power and control, not allowing to flow. Shifted to female energy and men neglected, then realized this isn't money, and it changed form into flowers and me watering them. That's nice. And became more gentle energetically. I got sly and hidden to joyful and generous. Whoop, whoop. So that's very simple ways of shifting your energy and finding out what you need. Like, what does my money story need right now? I got a genie. Nice. I got a trailer rattling keys and turned into a sad little boy needing love. Oh, a jailer, not trailer. I got a jailer rattling keys. So that little boy maybe needs maturing as well, because, you know, like if you ask the little boy, like, what do you need to become? Like a grown adult that's responsible and able to hold money, that has a healthy wealth frequency, and you might see something shift there, like a maturing. It's like we're asking the fast forward button on maturing our own frequencies and relationship with our own energies. And I do this work a lot with in my Love Again heart retrieval work and in Transmute Distortion and other ones. We do tools like this to work with the masculine and feminine and creating self-love in the body. Mine is a weird shifting formless energy. Is that how money feels to you too? Some weird shifty formless abstract, who knows how it works, mystery. So maybe it's like invite that energy to become form, like a human vision, like interpretation of a human, because it's almost like you can't grasp it or touch it or understand it when it's like that. You can't interact and have a conversation and a relationship with this shifting formless thing. From a nightmarish pinstripe suit dripping in gaudy gold trying to distract me with cheap jewels to a man called Keith, all right, who was a friend's dad when I was a kid. He was a banker and a slick, slimy man. I let him go, old story, and instead there was a huge pot of fairy tale gold beaming and glowing and looking divine. Sounds like great. That's like shifting several stories, money stories in the system. Angela Jolie was the version, but that was my character vision, not the gaming star. Ah, yeah, I see what you're saying. That was the Lara Croft thing, I think. Yeah, so this happens when people are trying to visualize their masculine, feminine sometimes, like the two are, one is like in one dimension and the other in a totally different dimension timeline, and they can't talk. And that's kind of what's happening with you and your money story. There is that form. It's like you can't interact and have a sensible collaboration with it. when it's like that. So it makes sense that it's hard to reach or understand. Right, next piece. This is good. So, and hopefully not too triggering, so please be kind to yourself. I've got one more I'll read out. I was a roundhead, ready to do battle and keep everything for the king. I just wanted to take everything off as it was weighing me down. Turned into a beehive that was full of sweet honey, and I could be productive and have the nectar. That sounds lovely. Sounds nice, in tune with nature, and there's a produce that comes in abundant, you know, earth abundance, and the richness and ripeness of earth is touchable. Okay, now shake that off. We're doing something different. Right, so if this is too triggering, you can just breathe and just watch or something if you don't want to do it. But what I want you to do is imagine, try and visualize or remember somewhere, or maybe you heard stories about where your mum and dad were at the time of conception. So be responsible about how you feel about that. What was going on for mum land and what was going on with dad land at the moment of your conception? What is going on in their lives and around them? And just visualize and feel into it. You know, think about the times, like, you know, the world times that were going on, the environments that they were in, and maybe the worries that they had. What were the conversations that were being had around the time of your conception? So write a few things down so you can look at it again. So write conception and then a few words, and then we'll do the next bits. And now think about in utero, like what was going on when you were in your mum, growing in your mum. What could you hear, and what was her feelings about it all? What kind of energy were you surrounded in? What were you hearing? What was her emotional kind of realm? And birth, like what were you birthed into? What happened those first, you know, birthing and coming into the world, the first few years of baby time, birth to baby, toddler time? What was going on in your early days? List some words, emotions, and things you were hearing, stories you've been told about that time. So there is mother stuff and there's father stuff, or lack of, maybe. Maybe there were other carers, maybe they had things they kept saying to you, and maybe like think about what you were hearing about money and wealth and having or not having. Maybe put a little focus on what was going on for them, mother and father, or carers. Anyone need more time, or do you have a bunch of stuff written down? Everyone okay? Yeah. Okay, so now, yeah, there'll be a replay, no worries. Go back to the first thing we did, which was your conversations with money, and notice if there's any repetition between your early imprinting and your way of talking with your world, and also the woes and your rant about what's going on in your life at the moment. Notice if there's anything that's like the same, maybe circle things. Like, oh, wow, I'm having the same worries repeatedly. Yes, there is a big clear as day direct line between all of this. I was surprised too. I was like, wow, my everyday, I'm always worried about this thing, and then this thing's always happening. And then I'm like, oh, wow, that is what I landed in exactly. Some of you might have worked through some of this, but it's kind of weird how it's very, from conception to, you know, early imprinting, we're kind of orbiting in that cloud of emotion and consciousness all the time. Yeah. Stickiest part is the money story. And, you know, if you then also look at your mum on her own, and then her ancestry and their money stories, and then you're looking at dad's stuff and his ancestry and his money stories, and then you're like landing in the middle of both of those. So just show of hands, who saw, is there a correlation between some of your money story and your current woes and what you were born into? Kind of half the room, or more than half. Yeah. Okay, so what we want to do is kind of create a bit of repair. So Alistair says he's raising all his multi-dimensional hands too. Yeah. So close your eyes and visualize your father's DNA and all of his story and imprinting and ancestry and spirit and everything. And then mum's DNA. And they're going to come together at this moment of conception. And then this big bang happens, where your conception happens, and a third energy is appearing. Your spirit, your unique frequency, your dimensional self. Combination of those DNAs becoming a third thing with your little magic source in the middle. And if, are your mum and father's DNA compatible? Is there an easy linkage? It all makes sense. Or is it a bit tough for you to be like trying to integrate mum and dad's energies and stuff and ancestry? Is there difficulty there? Can you bring any ease and kind of compassion and acknowledgement to the linking of those two energies in this third one, which is you? And you're probably, if you're here and attracted to my work, then you're probably an unusual, magical type. Black sheep even, maybe. Bringing lots of new frequencies and energies to planet Earth at this point in its development, and you landed in those two DNAs, in those stories, and you're like, what is happening? So bringing a level, what I want you to do right now is almost become like angelic or divine holding or spirit energy holding of your own DNA strands that might not be fully compatible. And then this third thing that might be even less compatible with your environment and where you're at. And just bring a level of holding and understanding of like, oh, wow, of course it's not always felt like you're at home or okay or able to understand what's happening, of course. And just bring a level, a bit of love, pour the love in. And just sort of see if you can, I don't know, expand or blossom as your very unusual, unique self in this moment, may take a bit more room, a little bit more space, spread out a little bit, fill out all of your edges, not contort yourself into some strange origami to please all these different people and things and what's right and what sensible means, or like, you know, what's the right way to behave is, and blah de blah. Just unfold that contortion and labyrinths that you've created and just be yourself for a minute. Flop into your full size and take some breaths there. And now, from this space where you are being you, push away, like Moses parting the waves, your mother's mental, emotional thought space and energy that you were inside of when you were little, and your father's energy, thoughts, feelings, emotional cloud. So they're like both have clouds of their own mindset and energy, and you're going to just shift them and move them away, kind of like Moses. So really push away these energies, these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, certainly around money, away from you, and make space for you to think your own thoughts. Like all those feelings and thoughts are not really yours. Okay. So now, should we do this first? So coming back, and was that helpful to start with? Do you feel some shifts there, or a bit less like weight maybe on your shoulders? I don't know, it's hard to see what's happening for you. Yes. Cool, nice one. But things moving. But I think this is like a, you know, what we just looked at there is like the mandala of being at the center of the being at the center of a mandala of your universe, and just suddenly kind of looking at it with some new eyes. So it's a big thing. So I'm not expecting like all of it to shift and you create your own meaning and world all of a sudden. But it's like, oh, I'm noticing that I'm repeating things that I must have heard when I was a small child, or I'm seeing the world through that lens, or I'm just noticing all the time. Yeah, I think taking some more time would be great. But now I'd like you to look at the dream that you had. You know, you wrote down the dream of having all this money. And I'd like you to compare, who do you need to be for that dream to happen, to manage that level of responsibility, leadership, visibility, impact, power, magic, whatever. What identity do you need to step into? Like what needs to go in your life that is clearly draining you and not walking you towards this dream? What do you need to do, so let go of or step into, to start resonating at that level of wealth? And I don't just mean having money, I mean being able to really feel the abundance of being on earth and a powerful being. So this is maybe where you can imagine that kind of being ruthless, or having the sword of truth, like the magician has the sword of truth that cuts away what is no longer needed or viable or helpful to you stepping into that. So maybe part of it was working with some of the ancient genetically passed along or imprinted family stuff, that's not helping you. Right. And this also is about integrity, walking your talk, being, saying, oh, I'm a leader and I'm going to be doing this and that. It's then like, okay, well, start behaving like that then. Start dressing like that, eating like that, breathing like that, talking like that, showing up like that. Because there's something that happens, and what people are writing in the comments now, like the bit where someone mentioned, we don't have a lot, but we're happy, or I'm suspicious of holding on to money, or like if having money might ruin my happiness. It's really pointing to my next piece. Or like that there's an energetic tethers into some old witch wound, for example, or something like that. This is really, my next piece is explaining conflict and psychological reversal, which I go deeper into the other masterclass I keep mentioning, the Money Gateway Masterclass. But just to get to the point here is so conflict and psychological reversal is when on a conscious level, we're like, yep, I've got this dream and this vision and this business, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then somehow it doesn't happen. You spin your wheels. It looks like you're self-sabotaging. I don't like that word, but that kind of thing. It's all like, it doesn't happen, even though you're trying. So the dream is there, but the unconscious and the subconscious are telling the opposite story. So on some level, it's like there's conflict within the system. There's a reversal of the things that would be good for you are like you're refusing to do on some deeper level somehow. And all of that comes from self-protection. I mean, this is huge. We could probably look at, several hours of this. And a lot of it is to do with self-protection. We're protecting ourselves from money might mean violence. Like I heard arguing as a child. So money could be violent. If I have money, we're all going to argue. Or money causes all the arguments, kind of thing. Or if I am successful and have money, I'd be a terrible parent. I'd never be there for my kids. So I best not do that. Or if I have money, I'll never have a relationship because I need a richer husband or something, like, I don't know what the story might be. But it's also this and or. You can't have both. You can't have love, success, and money. You can't travel and be successful and have a partnership. So your body is always going to default to where will it receive love and nourishment. So so does this make sense? I know it's going a bit fast, maybe. But so how can we soften and allow our body to not freak out when the idea of money comes in? So it literally is something that you have to kind of take responsibility for when you notice the conversation come up in your head, or when you notice the constriction in your body, or you notice that you kind of notice it, like money comes in and then suddenly 10 random surprise bill comes in and you're like, what's this about? You kind of go like, hang on a minute, and you kind of can then start thinking, okay, there's a sieve situation going on here. I've opened the valve of get rid of money. Why is that? What am I afraid of? And it might be, and it's usually not rocket science. It's something that you repeat over and over, like, oh, well, if I have all those clients, I'll be a terrible parent, so I'm not going to do that. And then okay, so I go into that in the other masterclass. I don't really want to repeat myself, but it's an important piece of trying to align all of, the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious to all be on the same path, all wanting the same thing, rather than in conflict. So I'm just going to read what's happening here. Okay, I can't really follow into what's happening right there. But there's stuff about, you know, where money is attached to a parent or a wound or a having or a visibility issue. That's what we go deeply into money gateway, which is coming up, and visibility gateway too. That's what the kinesiology bits are for. But at least you have an idea. You can, if you can see it, you can start breathing into it and things tend to unfold. Right. Have you written down things you could cut away or move towards to help reach the dream state? I think we did say that already, haven't we? So what we're going to do is a little bit of reset the system. I have like 20 million folders. What do you mean by abstract? So right in front of me, I have 20 million folders and books and cards and vibrational essences. I could have picked all sorts of things, but it came up with one particular tool that we're going to do. And what we want to do first is, what would be some nice new healthy beliefs around money? Money nourishes me, money supports me. Maybe write some nice statements down about you and money and wealth. Maybe, you know, tied to the dream. Money means I can do good. So, you know, you might want to, one of my mentors, Hazel, always says, I want to be stinking rich. I don't really like that myself, but you know, that's something she wants. I want to be a millionaire even, you know, just a bunch of statements where it's positive about you, your identity, and money. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure on some level that's helpful, but you have, I think that because you're going into energy abstract world, it's making yourself make it a real life world conversation. So it's like having to land and ground into the human self and think about what the human needs, not the magician. So I do this thing with a lot of my clients that are magician-y, wizardy types, and I have to do it for myself, is when you have one foot in the magic world and one, you know, like energy world, dimensional world, you have one foot in the energy world and one foot in the human world, and you need to be in the right balance for you. So the right balance for you might be 50-50 or 60-40 or something like that. But I can guarantee you right now, you're like swung way out into the energy dimension world, and so the human life is struggling. Things start breaking or clumsy, or like things aren't working as fast as they could, or money is elusive or whatever. So it's like, how can you get into the right alignment, not the one you think is more cool and magical, but how can you get into right alignment between the two worlds so that you're, you know, you've got your foot in there, but not to the detriment of the human. So to me, that's like, yeah, out of control was it. So that's what I meant by initiations at the beginning. I might have gone fast over it, but it was one of my points, is when you go into becoming a practitioner and you're remembering deeply your magical skills and you're getting all these gifts and coming through, and it's almost like, when it happened to me, I felt like a toddler with a lightsaber, like, like kind of breaking stuff and blowing myself up and maybe doing too much to people, or like, so I had to learn how to use this bloody lightsaber without harming anything. So it's a bit like that, I think, on some level. How can you honor and learn? It's like initiations, trials. It's because we're not brought up in cultures where we get sent out to bring back a, you know, like a hog or something in the middle of the night, or have to sleep in the desert for 5 days and come back to the tribe with some mission, you know, some wisdom. We don't have that initiated into our healing initiations. We don't have that, those rites of passage. So now our bodies are so used, our memories are so used to having those initiations, that they kind of, our consciousness manifests them in our here and now. So you're in the middle, sounds like you're in the middle of like this expansion, and you're having to learn what that initiation is. You know, it means really grounding into the human and really like figuring that bit out so you can hold more and more of the wizard stuff. I'm guessing that's quick off the cuff. Anyway, try and stay on track, Jennings. Right, so have you written some more positive, rich, enriching, abundant, you know, well, frequency statements? Do we need to give some examples? Does everyone have a couple that sound rich and great and lovely? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to key in the new story. It's very simple tapping technique. It's called reset the system. And so we're going to reset, the intention being reset the money system in our, you know, the money being within us that can interact with it in a positive way. So you might want to repeat like the words of some of your affirmations, and then maybe you'll feel a shift and you can maybe then start repeating a different one. Just pick the ones that feel good and then move. You could repeat the same one the whole way through. And the first one place to tap is the xiphoid process, which is, so if that's your, where the ribs arch, and then just underneath it, there's like a little gap underneath the ribs right in the center, and you're going to tap that there, and it feels quite yucky actually. So you might burp or yawn or feel energy move, and just start repeating one of your statements, like I'm abundant, or something along those lines. My body feels the richness of life. Money is good, whatever feels right. Keep repeat out loud is better if you can, until it doesn't even sound like English anymore. Next one is the higher heart. So it's thymus. It's like between the throat and the heart. So it's like there. And you repeat the same one if you want, or something slightly different. I step into my leadership. I'm visible with my work. Money flows to me. Stick with one if you can, though, just to get into it. We're reprogramming, recoding, rematrixing your money story on some level. Just stick with it. It feels like we're going through something. More. Okay, that's better. Chin, tip of the chin. There's lots of nerves and stuff going on here. So tip of the chin. So the same statement or a different one? I have a healthy money story. Money nourishes me. Money supports me. Next one, tip of the nose. It makes me feel like that Bewitched show when I was little. Magic button on the end of your nose. I manifest an abundant reality. I'm grounded. In between the eyebrows, the glabella. And finally, the crown, like right on the top of the head. I'm strong, I'm divine. I belong, I'm enough. I'm good enough. Choose one, something. You can also rub if tapping is a bit weird. Maybe there's tension up there and you can move stuff around. Get some movement going between the scalp and the bone. Woo. Shake it off. Show of hands, do you feel slightly maybe brighter or lighter or something? A little bit. Cool. More things? More things. Right. It's a bit like, what do I mean? But try and see if you can do it. So imagine you're looking at your business. I'm imagining most of you are self-employed or practitioners or wanting to be. What is your conversation with your business and your invisible conversations with your clients? Write some stuff down. Like, what do you think of these invisible clients, or what are your assumptions, and how do you talk about your business? Maybe what's your conversation about you becoming a leader or more visible? Like, what are some of the words that come? Negative and positive things, maybe write them down. You know, I mentioned that angry shaman, like, do they know who I am? And me asking for money is preposterous. Is there anything of that going on? You know, like, money should just come to me, or is there like a gap between the leader you'd like to be and the leader that you're showing up as? You know, are you being kind to yourself? And in terms of clients, are you speaking to them, energetically speaking to them, as if you are ready to receive them? And I know this sounds a little bit weird. The language is a little bit weird, but bear with me. I really believe that working with clients is intimate. Not, I don't mean sexually intimate at all, like zero. I don't mean that. I mean, there's an intimacy. You are making yourself available as a container. Depending on your training, you might be super neutral, but I'm like more wizardy, and myself with my clients, you know, we're kind of sharing a space. What kind of space are you able to provide for clients that they can step into? So that would include the invisible conversations you're having, and if you're like, oh my God, I'm a bit scared, about what might happen with my clients, or, I'm not good enough, or I'll do it when I've done this healing, I'll have people come, and when I'm perfect, then they can come. Or what kind of container or space, what kind of intimacy can you actually physically sort of provide? And I don't mean, I mean like, are you a safe space maybe? Is there room in your heart for all your clients, or how many? It's kind of hard to verbalize what I mean. I hope I'm sharing it as I mean it. Because when we're in a kind of lack situation or scarcity, there's not enough, they can't afford it, or oh God, I don't actually, I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently people put flyers out and posts, about their work, but hope no one comes. I only learned that from doing Visibility Gateway, that people were bringing that up as part of the fears of being visible, was that people might actually come to the thing. So that was interesting. So then I started really feeling into this. What is it that you need to prepare? What kind of ground or space can you prepare? And it is literally about you as a container. And then another part of that is, if you're lacking, like scared, you're seeking clients because you're skint, or you keep telling yourself you're skint, then people will feel that when you're trying to get clients. They're feeling this sort of like, I need this to survive kind of vibes. Okay, cool. So there's a push-pull that I don't understand. And again, okay, there's no simple, like, this is so, visibility, money and all that is so like many layers to what it might be exactly, because it could be, oh, if I have clients, then I'll be a terrible parent, or if I have clients, I won't get married, or, like some really weird reversal in the system somewhere. Yeah. There's also, I've learned from doing Visibility Gateways, that there's some people that fear that they might do something wrong, like cause harm in a session, as a practitioner. And I think some of that, from exploring with them, has come from past lives, and also, karmic stuff as well. That at some point, let's say healers were really powerful, and then World War like a world war broke out because of something that we created as healers, and then, or people used the consciousness tech badly, and then it hurt people, and then, or we're carrying the karma of people that hurt people with our energy work that we did, like this is like Atlantean, Lemurian stuff, like there's all that stuff as well. But it could be just that, could be this life stuff as well. And it comes with, again, building the muscle, not trying to jump from, okay, I'm offering like 1,000 people trauma release healing, maybe start with doing loads of one-to-ones till you build the muscle. That's kind of what case studies is about, is the initiation of expanding your capacity to feel your safety in holding others through processes. That's why I think, yeah, do your multi-dimensional mystical training and stuff, great. But then also do proper stuff with grounded practitioners, where you're going to build the muscle by learning the things. That's what kinesiology brought for me. I did, it's like 3 years of professional training, with loads of inbuilt initiations, but then also having to do like anatomy courses and like trauma release courses, and then nutrition courses, like stuff that's not exciting I had to do. And that builds I call it like the tonal muscle. We're going to get that tonight, like the earth building of foundation in your system that builds certainty in yourself, like in your own, trusting yourself to be able to handle And also, like, quite aside, but if I reflect on my own journey, being able to trust myself to hold myself through my pain, my abandonment, rejection, guilt, shame, all the things, me being able to trust that I'm there and I've got my back. I'm Divine Mother. Cool, bye. You know, that I've got my back, that I can hold myself through these deep, painful human processes, has meant that I can kind of trust myself to do that for others too, or at least share with them how to do that for themselves by being there doing it too. You know, a lot of the people that want to work with me and come on my money gateway or visibility gateway or love again or transmute distortion are practitioners wanting to watch how to hold space and containers. You know, they're learning by watching me do it as well as doing it for themselves. Right, where are we? Right, so the conversation with this receiving clients is many healer types. The wounded healer archetype is to give, people please, people please, people please. You know, it's like a very nourishing others thing. And if you are not able to receive nourishing energy from others or from outside, or feel love from outside, allow energies from the outside in, intimacy with friends, family, people, your own children, whatever it might be, if you struggle with that, then there might be a correlation with your struggle to receive clients because of this ability to open up a space for them. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this, I'm kind of dropping like little seeds here that you might have to spend time looking at yourself. We can't do it all, like all this stuff. It's kind of, you know, you need a bit of time and space, but maybe have a think about that, your blocks to receiving and giving. Because, and there's also this thing, and if you look at marketing in an energy sense, you know, there's a moment where you go, here it is, guys, you know, you put into the field stuff. Here it is, this is what I'm doing. There comes a point where you're going to have to fall back and open and receive the energy that comes back. You can't keep being like, come on, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and not fall back to receive what comes back. It's a bit abstract. It's the energetics of marketing. There's a, you know, it ties in with masculine, feminine stuff as well. So when we're on the visibility gateway, I also teach something called magical marketing, which has nothing to do with technology, funnels, flyers, niches, or anything. It's actually the energy of marketing. What does that look like? How do we create an alignment with your mission and your blueprint and your unique frequency through your ability to express yourself freely in a world where you belong and you're going to be heard, and allow that to come out of you through the layers of your aura where you are allowed to be seen and heard, and let that land with the people you could have the most impact on. So how can you become like a lighthouse and shine that light and people actually see it? If any part of you is like, oh, I'm not allowed to be seen, or I'm not allowed to show my magic, or it's dangerous to be wizardy or something, then you're throwing up loads of smoke and mirrors yourself, powerful energies that stop people hearing you, seeing you, or reading you, or coming to your containers. So that's what visibility gateway magic is all about. The kinesiology side of things and the magical marketing side of things is how can we create that alignment where it starts to land. And I know some people here have done the visibility gateway, but we can maybe let room for people to share when I finish these bits. But yeah, I'll keep kind of going off on one. There's like loads of things. I'm not quite following my own program here. So how can we clear the blocks to allowing the people to see us? And that there are dynamics of giving and receiving that need to be in balance as well. Yeah, this building this intimate space of intimacy where you can welcome people into your space and hold them through processes and be there consistently for them. And people invisibly feel that, I think. Right. So how am I gonna, this is like, okay, next piece is it's kind of going back to what I said at the very beginning around wealth frequency. If you can be a strong container and a pillar of strength into, you know, like a strong container where you're protecting your life force, you know, you're not going to get drained by offering work, for example. You have like healthy boundaries and a healthy sense of self. If you have never had that strong sense of self, strong boundaries, and you have like a wobbly core, or you struggle to feel love in the body or like you belong, then that would link to, I would say, early childhood core wounding. I should have said that the other way around. Like if you have childhood core wounding, then you're likely to have kind of a wobbly sense of self. And it's something then you have to build on through life, through working on yourself to start building that sense of self, to start building that strength and start being the parents or the loving force in your own life that allows you to mature and go through the developmental stages you might have missed, and that create a healthy way of you interfacing with the world. So for example, if you have that kind of core wounding going on, maybe you find it really hard to express your needs and wants or self in the world. Or you might become codependent with your work and you're like a workaholic, but it makes you feel safe and like you matter somewhere. You know, there's so many layers to this. I think I'm going way too fast into it, but we go into it a lot in my courses. But what I would like to just bring in briefly here that I think would be helpful is the felt sense. So belonging, love, I'm good enough, home, success, wealth, tribe, all of those kind of fundamental human experiences are a felt sense in the body. It's not necessarily that you have like tribal, you know, in the center of a tribe, or that you're told every day you belong, or that you need affirmations that you're good enough or from others, or it's actually, if your body was trained to sense and feel, oh, I'm at home right here. Oh, I belong. Oh, it's okay for me to express myself. Of course I'm lovable. Oh, I'm needed here. I'm part of Earth. Okay, great. Let me express myself. Those are all felt senses. And when I mean felt sense, the physical body having sensations and emotions and feelings that equal, oh, I'm lovable, I belong, I'm good enough. It's not going to come from outside. Like we want that as children and babies. If we're brought in and like, oh, look at you, magical being, I welcome you on earth, you're so welcome here, what are your needs, how can I meet them? If we all had perfect childhoods and parenting wasn't messed up as it is and our society wasn't messed up as it is, then we would probably living with a lot more confidence and self-expression and kind of being okay. But most healers I know from the work I've been doing, that work with me on Visibility Gateway and stuff, have terrible sense of self, feel like a struggle with how they feel about themselves, and then they go off and do amazing work for others. You know, and then they go home and go, oh, I'm shit, oh, I'm not good enough, and then they go do something beautiful and create transformation, and then they go, oh, you know, I can't feel love in my body or something. So it's like, so it's a crime and it's not okay. And it's probably not, it's not your stuff. It's not even maybe your parents' fault. It's like they were brought into this struggle too. They didn't know better probably at the time. Most parents are just like total rookies and naive and like, whoa, flying off the seat of my pants, sort of trying to hold it all together. So how can we build that felt sense in the body? So what we're going to do now is a little mini exercise of trying to feel this stuff. And what happens when we haven't felt it as children is we build defenses in our lives. I'll always say small and invisible, and hopefully no one will notice me. Or maybe I have to grab onto love, like, oh, please let me have a little bit more, just before it disappears again. Or there's never enough, can't be fulfilled, and I can't reach contentment. It's like, oh, I'm a hungry ghost sort of thing. So there's all these things we do as children and strategies that we do to try and survive this not feeling good enough or loved or belonging thing. But we can, even our posture and the way we are in the world and all that stuff we did when we looked at our mother and father stuff, it kind of builds up around us, where we, let's just for the sake of it, call it armor. We build like armor around us so that we don't feel like we don't belong or that we're not good enough or something. And that's like rigid. So how can we start melting that rigidity away to let more love in, and to start feeling the felt senses, like create a sensation in the body of belonging and good enough and love? I know I don't know if I said that well enough, but hopefully it'll become clearer when we do this bit now. So if you close your eyes, and just settle yourself a minute. That was a lot of information. Take a moment just to visualize all the love that you've ever felt from friends and lovers and parents and children and grandparents and people and strangers, all the laughter, the smiles, the warm fuzzy times, the hilarious times, the loving times, the powerful times. Just like run through all these moments in your life where there's been all this love thrown at you, directed at you, or even that came out of you, and just see it like this big cloud of energy all around you. It's always been there. You just forget about it sometimes. And then feel this, maybe like an armor that you've built around yourself to get through life, to get through difficulty when you maybe things aren't working or you don't feel good about yourself. Feel this like thick armor that kind of makes you feel disconnected and disassociated from your divinity, your belonging, and your sense of self and the love that is possible for you. And see if you can let the power of this love around you start to filter through this more rigid armor. Maybe the metal melts just slightly, or maybe tiny little gaps of light open up and love can start pouring in. See if you can feel the amount of love and appreciation the universe has created for you, that is available to you, and let it go in a little bit deeper and a little bit more, and see if you can even completely melt this armor and really connect to the felt sense of having, of love, of worth, abundance, richness, wholeness, belonging, where of course you're good enough. So all the times your body's tried to keep you safe from being hurt or not having what you need has possibly been keeping you from letting love in. How can you melt away that disconnection? Rematrix divinity and love in your being. Coming back. See if you can stay in that softness right now, in that deep space. Because what I'll do is just this last bit about, well, last piece of energy work really is how can we create more structure and foundation energy, earth energy in our lives so that we can start building structures and strategies and ideas that support us, so that we can move through life more relaxed, safer, able to be creative rather than struggling in survival. How can we stay in this dropped in space longer and longer and longer? And I would say that is by having foundations that support you in your business or support you in your life, support you in your future. So once we're in this space, connect to your earth energy. Earth energy in the body. Well, connect with your earth energy and ask what it's like right now. What does my earth energy look like? And I mean like the elements, fire, water, earth, air. What does your earth look like? Is it dry? Is it barren? Is it like a garden? Is there anything you could grow from? Is it abstract and weird? Ask your earth energy, what does it need to become a healthy place for you? Earth energy in its best form is very structured and very A, B, C, D. You plant a seed, you water a seed, it grows a little twig, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, grows a tree, and then it grows fruit or seeds, and then it drops and it starts again. It's very linear. It has like a form that keeps going and it grows. So just see what your earth energy looks like and what is needed and what stage you're at. Can your earth element hold you? Is there foundations? Earth energy is also like trying to build a house. You wouldn't put the roof on until you had the rest of it. You do things in order. And the same with growing a business, you do things in order. Same with making wealth, you do things in an order. You plant seeds, you water them, you grow them. Do you have the right earth and ground to do that? Do you need to land from your cosmic travels and start growing foundations and roots so that you can hold others? And then I want you to look at your fire. What does your fire look like right now? Your fire is your drive, passion, creativity. It's what makes you tick, what keeps you going. Is it a big flame, a small flame, no flame? Where's your passion, drive, and creativity? Ask it what it needs. Are you passionate and on fire about what you're doing, or is there something missing or switched off? What does your fire need right now? So that you may stay passionate through the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur or self-employed or a practitioner. If your fire is a deep and strong fire, an internal fire, it'll give you courage to keep going. So maybe write down maybe what your fire and your earth said it needs, and see if you can start bringing some of that into your life. Integrate what your body is asking you for into your life. So I know we've jumped about a little bit, but all of it is about you building foundations and structure, certainty and strength into your energetic architecture, into who you are, so that when you walk through the world, people feel it, feel what you're offering, not just the words you say, but the energy you put behind it. How can you create a wealth frequency, a container that holds you and others? That's kind of what I've been trying to get to. And having that deep belonging and love for yourself as part of that. So that you can really expand to bring in all of your gifts and magic and remembering. Because if you're like, I'm not good enough all the time, then like the hole for your magic to come in is really tight and small. So how can you open up to what you really are and what you're really capable of? Cool. So let me just check, like the collective wealth frequency in pounds per month right now is 0, more than 1,000, 2,000, 5, 10. It's about 10,000 a month pounds now. Well, everything we've just done energetically has shifted it up. Whoop, whoop. So there's like a lot of levels, you know, to look at of what we've looked at. We've looked at loads of different pieces. Yes, and then, you know, another piece to this going forward is, I would say, start educating yourself on different ways of understanding money and how you can make money. Like I do have this, I have a free Facebook group, which is all about passive income stream. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I've been immersing myself in understanding forex trading and cryptocurrencies and all this sort of stuff, which is like totally not my normal thing, you know, but I've been doing it for just over a year and I'm doing incredibly well. And it's going to mean that I'm financially free very soon, basically. And within a couple of years, probably could retire if I wanted to. There's no problem about catching replays. I know lots of people couldn't stay for the whole time. It's a funny time of day, but I'm a mum and I want to be there for my child. So I chose this time that works for me. So yeah, and also, you know, there's lots of ways of creating foundations in your life where you can start thinking about your future security, not about next week and, you know, what next client is going to feed the foundation temporarily. So it's like, how can you create a longer sustaining thing so you're not having that weird push and pull with your clients? And learning, for me, learning about all this other strategies to be financially free was me taking blinkers off and having to stretch my brain to understand new languages. So if you want part of my free Facebook group, please just let me know and I'll give it to you. I think, okay, actually, I'm just writing it here. It's with Sarah J, Sarah with an H, J, just the letter.com, and then /freedom. And that just takes you to an intro so you can see if you want to be part of my Facebook group. Right, okay. And then the other part of that education I'm offering, so in there's loads of information, but the other part of that is me trying to help practitioners in the healing arts become better at business and being self-employed and understanding marketing in different ways. So that's what my Visibility Gateway is all about. So it's teaching you the powerful tools of communication, understanding how to, you know, speak about your healing work and being able to speak it so people understand what you're talking about and lands with them. They get what you're saying, because a lot of people talking all this esoteric stuff and people are like, what are they on about? Fifth dimensional what? Like, you know, they just want to know how you can help them. And I'm teaching that on the Visibility Gateway. The Visibility Gateway is also, Tallulah's in the swimming pool in the picture. She was here. Tallulah actually helps me over the last few Visibility Gateways to do the video feedback, because everyone creates videos during the Visibility Gateway talking and communicating about their healing work, and then Tallulah and I watch it and check out the energetic transmission and how it feels and looks, and does it make sense, and it gives you a chance to practice being on video and build your confidence in that way, like kind of pop the cherry on being visible. So there's a lot of amazing feedback that you get in that course. It also helps you kind of niche down and really figure out if you wanted to do how to talk about your courses, how to talk about your one-to-one work, but maybe even develop it into courses and like the building foundations of that. So the Visibility Gateway is on the 10th of May. And what I've done with I've done 6 or 7 of them now, and this will be the 7th one. And I had to create Money Gateway afterwards because I realized that money stuff, layers of money issues were coming up so much in the Visibility Gateway that we needed to do kinesiology only on money. So I created Money Gateway. So Money Gateway is not a course with like all this, like content and stuff like the Visibility Gateway. It is just 2 hours of kinesiology every week for 6 weeks. And we just keep going into a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, but we go deeply and check that the body is shifting, that your body shifts consciousness around money, that we rewrite the money beliefs, that we do deep and powerful healing into the ancestral lines, historical stuff, and really build worth and kind of ability to create flows of money towards you. So it's like rewiring the energetic architecture. And that's Money Gateway, and that starts on the 22nd. So it's like 10 days away or something. I can't count right now. And yeah, so I've basically done it so that the masterclass was now, and this is like kind of your 2-part introduction to Money Gateway, like homework, if you like. And then Money Gateway, and then that leads straight into the 8 weeks of the Visibility Gateway. So it's kind of like an easy landing into Visibility Gateway, which is an intensive. It's quite a lot. It's a lot. Visibility Gateway is set up that you have content videos and themes for the week, which is like you working on your business in a way and your visibility fears. And the content videos are helping you with that. And then we have a group call, which is a bit like this, but except you each have a chance to talk and I feed back to you live on the call. Then we do kinesiology calls during the week too. So Tuesday and Thursdays, group call, kinesiology call. And that's where we really do all the deep, powerful energy work and shift like as a group of, like a small group of healers all shifting deep and powerful stuff that has pushed us down and blinkered us and stopped us being able to create. So the fact that there's the power of a group shifting that stuff is even more powerful than just doing one-to-ones, for example. So basically it's 4 months of support and me walking alongside you, shifting your money stories and your visibility stories, and being powerful in your creations and becoming financially abundant so that you can sleep at night, provide for your family, and create an amazing impact in the world. And that brings me loads of joy and happiness too. I also offer some one-to-ones, but it's kind of rare. So now my one-to-ones is you buy a one-off. I don't really do packages apart from to a few of my clients. I've offered them recently, as in packages, as in doing like a series. So at the moment you can buy one-off one-to-ones. And I do all sorts of stuff in that. We can do I've got so many things that I've created. So I do things like goal activator, manifestation portal, solo heart retrievals. There's a lot of different one-to-one sessions that we can look at your business. We can look at your business. Have you got the right niche, the right language? Are you charging the right amount, setting it at the right time? Is the container strong and good? Are you ready to receive them? We can muscle test all that stuff. I have a one static course that you can buy without my input, which is Transmute Distortion, which was the most recent one, which is loads and loads of tools for practitioners to work with all kinds of the negative energies, psychic attacks, psychic toxins, entities, thought forms, all that kind of stuff. And it comes with meditations where you do the work as well, the journey work strategy. So you actually practice them. I offer aura transformations, but you have to come to me in Edinburgh. And I am going to start doing aura mediator courses so you can learn to do aura transformation on people. And that'll be probably nearing summer or after summer. So there's a lot there, but I would be really excited to, work with people that are listening. I know there's like 87 people that had signed up before we started. So I know there's a lot of people listening on the replay. So I am offering a little bit of some, like prices. So the Money Gateway is 555, which I think is a really good deal considering that my 2-hour one-to-one is 333. So you're getting 12 hours of kinesiology for 555 in a group setting. So it's really powerful too. The Visibility Gateway is 1,444, but you're basically coming out with a blueprint of your business, ability to talk about it, complete new kind of rematrix energy, and loads of personal feedback. So it's a big deal, that one. Combined, that makes 1,999. So what I was going to say is if you did want to do both and you paid in full, I'll throw in a free one-to-one, like just throw in one-to-one work, 2 hours of one-to-one. So that's saving you like 333. And if you wanted to join the passive income thing that I do, which you can find out about from the link I sent you there, I will knock off 100 if you buy the two. You can enter into that passive income thing with £220, I think it is, and more if you want to go faster. So I'll knock off 100 if you were to do Money Gateway and sign up for that. But if you were to buy a slightly bigger package than the two lower ones, I will knock off 2. So if you go in for $1,000 package on that passive income thing, I'll knock off £200 off the visibility, the Money Gateway. So the idea is that you're getting a head start in sorting out your money issues, and that if you were to receive a lot more wealth, you would be able to hold it. And it sets you up for a very, very good, what would you call it? A strong foundation in recurring income. Okay, so, and then you could pay in because it's 4 months, you could do 4 payments of 522. So you could spread out the cost for 4 months of kind of business support. Yeah, so that's just like laying out the land. If anyone wants to talk to me, or if they need to like discuss the pricing or what's available or how it works, then I'm going to put it in an email anyway. So you're going to get the replay, and then I'll explain all this with the links and where everything is and when things start, and what the deals are. And I really, if there's any questions, please ask me. I didn't really explain kinesiology, so I'll add that in the email as well, because I think I'm kind of my jaw is running out of steam. I've got a video introducing how I do kinesiology in a group setting, and that also includes how kinesiology works, how the diagnostics work, what kind of information is available, and the kind of how powerful it is to really create transformation, even through Zoom. Any questions or feedback, or how did you find today? Or if you've done Visibility Gateway, do you want to share? I don't know if there's a few people here, but I don't know if they're not here. They've switched their cameras off. Fabulous. Thank you. This was great. Very helpful. Got to go. Really powerful. Yeah, lots of people had to leave, but that's okay. Excellent, thank you. If I would also really appreciate any like couple of lines of feedback. Like obviously I can't really copy paste all this right now. Oh, Heidi, please share. Yes, I would love that. Maybe unmute yourself for that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. I've literally just had a bird like fly into my house, so my camera was off, so I was trying to get it out the house. So I have done the Visibility Gateway with Sarah, and also some private one-on-one work as well. And I think I want to share, like, today has been such a beautiful example of your work and the power of your work. I think what I'm always blown away with by you is the depth of your knowledge around trauma healing and the deep pain that we've all been through, and all of that stuff, sprinkled with the sort of the magic dust of the universe is amazing. And, you know, it's just such a beautiful mix of depth with magic. And I think that's a rare combination. Often people only have one of those pieces, and you bring them together. The kinesiology is so friggin' powerful to just cut through the bullshit so quickly. So I think that's worth such a lot. And I think on the visibility gateway specifically, having the business structure, having a bit of a framework of you need to think of this, and, you know, having all those earth elements that we need in place to grow a business, to get confident in what we're doing, and to get confident on camera. That video feedback that you give is so valuable. I remember that first video, getting the feedback and just thinking, I've never been seen this deeply. Yeah, incredibly powerful.
Oh, thank you. I was just actually seeing if Tallulah is, I'm just texting her. No, I really appreciate your feedback. You've given feedback before, and it's like, oh, it's so nice to hear the reflection that it works. I was very shocked the first time I ran Visibility Gateway, how well it worked. I was like, oh, like the being able to see people that are maybe a bit closed off or disconnected or a bit shy or a bit like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then even within a week or two, their eyes are sparkling and they're really transmitting what they're here to do. And then that brings so much confidence. And it's like, oh, it's so life affirming to work with people like you that are having an impact out there. You know, it's like exponential then. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I don't know where Tallulah is. I didn't even ask her to talk though, so she's not like missing in action, but it would be nice if she was. So Tallulah is actually my daughter's stepmom. And so we have a really unique working relationship, and I've been mentoring her to be able to do this feedback that Heidi is talking about. And it's really, you know, it's a skill to be able to do powerful feedback that is constructive criticism without breaking people, you know, like without hurting people. So it's like, how can we, you know, like bloom these flowers, like help them, water them so that they can start coming out. And then I use my kind of unique X-ray weirdy eyes that I have for all the magic stuff that you're talking about, and all the multi-layered, multi-dimensional stuff that we bring. So yeah, it's a really beautiful combination. She's very nourishing as well. She has 4 children with mine, so with my one. So she's got that beautiful mother nourishing energy, and then I'm like the wizardy vibe. So I think it's a really good combination. Yeah, I think that's kind of everything now. It's a shame Tallulah can't speak, but never mind. And really appreciate you all staying till the very end. And for those of you listening on the replay, yeah, if you could answer my email or on one of the posts, maybe I'm going to write a post in a minute, probably when I write about it on Facebook, maybe just drop a few words. Would be really, really, really helpful to the whole algorithm. I got pushed down to the bottom of the feed at Christmas, and I don't think I've really emerged out the other end yet. It's getting there, but it's been a weird echo chamber for me, the whole Facebook land. So any little words of encouragement or likes and stuff is very helpful. So thank you so much for all coming, and I hope you can maybe check your number one. The first thing you did on your list of writing was, how do you feel today? And just check how you're feeling now, and if it feels any different to how you did at the beginning. Thank you, everyone. Take care, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.